crypto market, it's still looking pretty bleak here in the short term. Hold on, let me turn my TV down. I can't focus when I have to listen to Bloomberg people talking in the background. I like to have it on mute. But I still like to see the information that's going across. But as I was saying, we're seeing a lot of red that's been taking shape in crypto market. I know a lot of people were expecting an up, but we just have to continue to be transparent in the way that we cover this, despite it making us less popular to some people, but, you know, more indebted to others. The more you watch what I do, the more you see what our community has to offer, the more you see how we speak the facts about the market and not just the overall, you know, bullish FUD that gets put out 24/7. We're trying to find the proper areas so that we can further continue to push up our holdings, but also not put ourselves in such a catastrophic hole from the start. So what we're looking for in this rotation right now is where is the proper support area? Where is the proper area with what kind of catalyst we have to allow us to be in the proper positioning between, and yes, if you look at an indicator for the traders, the stochastic being in a proper spot, stochastic RSI or the MACD, you know, more common things. But what I'm looking for above and all is some volume, because the rest will take shape. You'll end up seeing, and we'll use gold and silver for an example, that's going to end up being in overbought territory for probably several years. It was an oversold for decades, but it's probably going to end up in a overbought scenario because of other outlining factors with continued inflation, with continued money printing, with the devaluing of the dollar, which goes hand in hand with the prior two things I said. You know, so the more they devalue the dollar, that's a catalyst for gold and silver to keep moving up, even if it was overbought, because it's just overbought in the sense that it's got a lot of buying power, but there's not going to be as much selling strength to even come into the market. And then demand's going to be more and more and more, and with the expectation of further depreciation in the USA and further inflation, which devalues our dollar, and money printing and all this, and rate cuts, another thing that's bullish for gold and silver and commodities. Platinum's in there, we just don't talk about it. It's, you know, corn and all, it all is. But we focus on gold and silver because that's something we can control for ourselves in our. But when it comes to silver, in the same way for a catalyst, we need simultaneous two things to happen. It doesn't matter what everybody says. It doesn't matter about the interests and the institutions, because let me be honest with you. And some of you are going to leave right now, but this is the truth, and I'd rather you hear it than not. So the institutions, we don't move the market. Retail doesn't move it one iota. Institutions, the big whales and things do move the market. Do you know what we are here for? We are here as liquidity. The whales, the institutions, and the big players, when they sell out, they're all in the game together. They're not selling out to each other. They need us, retail. So while 95% of retail is continuously buying the dip, right? How many times have you said this, even in my own community? I'm buying the dip, and what do I tell you over and over? Don't buy the dip, that's not the real dip. You're just exit liquidity till the real dip happens. And that's what they need. They need layering out, and we hold the brunt of it. So don't become that person. It becomes a very slippery slope. I have people that are convinced that $3 is a good buy for XRP because it went to $3.70. I'm here to tell you, it's not. Maybe in the future it ends up being a good buy, but in the interim, you end up like you are right now, and you end up getting slaughtered. And then that money that could be used somewhere else or held for the proper moment is now put into a spot where it's not so beautiful. So, but going back to the catalyst we would need for crypto, we need rate cuts and not 1/4 of a basis point. When you're waiting 8 months for a rate cut, it's not going to get it done. Needed to be at least a 1/2 basis point to not have a drop. But it had to be a 1/4 basis point because the chart showed we had a drop coming. The chart predicts the news. That's how I knew we were only going to have a 1/4 basis point. And I also knew that September would be the first rate cut, as I've been saying for the last almost year and a half, since people were thinking we were going to have a rate cut every month. And then we also need simultaneously the printing presses to go out of control, which is what happened in 21. Remember what happened in 23? Or I mean 22? We're going into quantitative tightening and we're raising rates. Remember what happened in early 23 to mediocre 23? We're going to start lowering rates and bring back quantitative easing. Then what happened a year later, they started to pause it a little bit. Now what's happening again? They're ramping it back up. These are the times when you start to get excited, but you always have that dump down for that liquidity to have those moves up. So right now, yes, there could be a micro movement, but the problem to me still is we still haven't exhausted this wick. I put down 264 because I thought that was a reasonable area after it hit over here. Let's update this. We hit down at 269. Now we're probably going to have to put it to 261, which it is what it is. It's just a continuation in time. You know, and that puts us out until tomorrow. If that were to play that way. Death Cross is already put through. We back tested several times and haven't been able to break through. We're oversold in the 3-hourly, but pushing down. Yeah, it's amazing how you can push down even if oversold. 4-hourly. It's trying to make some kind of reversal because it wants to come up and at least retest 282, which is honestly what I was expecting. So when it fell short this morning and just stopped, I'm like, this could be a quicker pull down than even I was thinking. But then again, it is Friday. So I mean, that's technically today. We're going into the last weekend of the month before let's put it this way. This is the last weekend of the month before another escrow dump for XRP. Yes, $250 billion has been pulled out of the market. Yes, you heard that right, with a T. $250 billion has been pulled out of the crypto market. And guess who bared the brunt of that $250 billion as liquidity? You guessed it, retail. Retail. They love us because we have no clue. We're retail. Retail. We really think they're manipulating the markets against us. No, they're not. They're just using basic strategic charting against us. They're using human conditioning against us. They're using green candles against us. It's not a hard proposition when we're looking here a couple weeks ago and going, you know, this weekly looks awful. Stochastic looks awful. MACD looks like it's moving down. We were overbought back in July and August, big time. And we said this is not good. Eventually, we're going to go right back down to oversold. And I didn't think we were going to stop here just because of what the MACD was doing. And the fact there's no volume. Can we please acknowledge that there's no volume? Don't you remember the song I made a while ago? I need a magnifying glass just to see the volume. Because there is none. And it always leads to this path. This was the whole point of the song a couple months ago when we were at 370. Without the volume, I'll see you back at 250 or worse. And here we are. You know, here we are. And I'm not saying this as the bad guy. I'm saying this as, please pay attention. We've been ahead of this for years. We've been so profitable. But the reason we're profitable is not because we're shorting the market when it's going down. It's because we keep capital to the side after big runs. We take our profit, and then we reignite and re-implore that capital in the proper spots. I said it for 6 months. Don't buy XRP over $3. Don't buy it in these areas. If you didn't buy it when it was under $1, why are you buying it now? Better yet, if you're a part of the audience and you didn't want XRP when we were buying it at 28, reselling it at 42 to rebuy it at 34 when it was the proper hold time. Because you always want to make capital when it's there. That's the only time I've ever sold XRP in the cents. Because my rule is buy it in the cents to sell it in the dollars. But sometimes there's moments of opportunity, like when you're creating a little hump for the double bottom. Like here. Another example. You could have technically, even though it's not as, if you don't understand what's going on, it's difficult. But technically here you could have bought, like I said, and then you could have rode it back up to the resistance near $3. I said 298, 296. And then you could have just sold it for the exhaustion wick to play back out. And then you could have just bought it even at 270. That was what I was talking about, a momentary opportunity about 5 days ago. I didn't do it because my opportunity is different. I tend to play it different. I don't want that short-term tax hit to make minute money most times. What I want to do, because I've already rode a whole wave already right now, I would like to wait until we fall through. And we've already started to, make no mistake about it. Like, this was at 10 cents when we got rid of XDC. I did buy it back briefly, but because I couldn't copy trade IOTA, I sold XDC again around 8 cents and sent it all over to WEEX, and I'm just waiting to buy for the copy trade. And people are, why aren't you copy trading it? 8 cents is cheap, because I don't think it's at the right spot. I think the market's got a kick in the nuts. That's happening right now. And I think it's going to continue, and that's my prerogative. So I will revisit at 715 like I've stated, but I'm not convinced until 5.3 if we don't start to see some freaking volume. And I don't believe in the term they're trying to shake us out either. So don't be offended when I say this. Everybody always says they're trying to shake us out. No, 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 no. Oh, absolutely not. You know why? Because by shaking us out, we don't have money to support their sells. Remember that. They're doing everything but trying to shake us out. They're giving us every reason why not to be shaken out. Don't get shaken out. Hold forever. Don't. Who do you think's pushing this message? Who do you think are pushing the influencers to tell you that? Why do you think I stand out here on an island every single day and go, hey, you might want to listen? Because I can see it. And I have the only gain that I have is to not be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm screwed. I don't do any sponsorships or anything like that to steal your money. So it's either the members of Tom's Army who pay it forward, which I've lost 10% this month. Believe it or not, being out ahead of the market, 10% of my members have left out of Tom's Army. That's a significant amount. YouTube super chats are basically non-existent this month because of the way the narrative is going. The moment it turns green, that all changes. But I always say, save your money for the buy in this moment, unless you truly want to pay it forward. And then when it does go back green, join Tom's Army. Share this on social media so other people can see this. At least hit the like button. Only 46 of you out of 109 have hit the like button, for Christ's sake. Don't forget to give thanks to your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Yahweh, Yeshua. Give grace to our higher power, God himself. Whoever you believe is your higher power, just know that we're here to create abundance for all, not abundance for ourselves. So, right now though, XDC 7-1. That's where I'm looking at, 7-1. And do I have any confidence in this market right now? Like I've been saying for the last 8 months, nope. It's not time. It's not time. Yes, Ethereum's up 2%, and I hope it continues. But what does Ethereum do? It goes up and puts in a bearish fucking candle, right? That's bearish in the 3-hourly, it looks like. But it's still got room. I don't want to act like there's no room. There's still room. If it really wanted to, it can come up here like we were talking about a couple days ago, which I would have hoped it would have, so it could have done that at least, but it couldn't even do that as of yet. It's really playing a dangerous game here. We're playing a very dangerous game, but a good game. A good game. If you understand what's going on, it's a good game to play because we're going to capitalize and we are going to, oh baby. Remember what I said last bear market in 23 when I said these buys that we just made are going to make us untold wealth, and not millionaire wealth, but untold wealth. By doing what we did in 23, I was able to do a total of about $80,000 in house repairs and upgrades. New kitchen. I bought my house and it was built in the 50s. It hasn't been updated since the 70s or 80s. Julie's grandma and grandpa bought it, but they didn't live here for most of the time because they lived up north and went back and forth. Then they sold it after they died. They ended up, her aunt got it, and then her aunt sold it to her cousin, but she didn't end up living here for a while, so she basically just sat here. And then we bought it from them, so it took a lot of repairs. But that whole 23 buy to now is how we got there. And not just that, you know, there's a lot of capital to the side right now that can be employed in a very strategic way. And I'm waiting because I would rather wait for a 5 or 7% move up so that I get some kind of validation that we are reversing. Or I'm fine. I can continue to wait for another who knows how long. Because IOTA was up at 23 cents not too long ago, and look where it's at now. Now we're sitting here at 16. We had Algo up at almost just over 30. Now it's at 20. So look at the bargains. Epic, the audience was trying to tell me why I needed to buy Epic when it was at $3 plus. I said, listen, guys, this isn't my first rodeo. Please listen to me. It's got to come down to $1.06. And that's what it seems like after a long-term run. I don't care how high it goes. I still believe that it needs to come back down and back test this. So where am I going to buy it? When it back tested. And yes, there was an opportunity here, which I kicked myself for not riding that wave, but I stopped paying attention. At $1.77 back up to that $3 because I wanted to ride it. And then I would have sold it once it showed me that area. But I did not, so but everybody in my audience even was buying it up here saying, hey, it's fine, I'm a long-term holder. And I said, listen, don't buy it there. If you're a long-term holder, being a long-term holder doesn't mean I want to buy it and get destroyed on the way back down just to be a holder, just to say I'm holding. No! If you want to be a long-term holder, you're looking for the opportune area, like $1. People laugh at me, but it's the truth. Trust me, people laughed at me when it was at $3.06, said, you said $1, and I still say $1. Hell, it might be 95 cents. You better believe if it goes to 95 cents, I'm going to implore some capital. And I'll be the first one to tell you, that's a real-world asset. And like I've said, it's a beta for what's to come for connectability between real-world assets, exchanges, big business. It's going to be able to do it all at once. Ripple's backing it by virtue of investing into the project, and that's not a joke. That's actually the truth. But let's talk about and take a different shift here for a minute. Let's talk about, and this might drive some of you away, but excellent. Gold, silver, mining stocks. Good morning. 10:28 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Friday, September 26th. 2025. I'm XRP future millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. Some would say the future commodities hero. Nobody would say that. More like the bearish bullshitter and all this other stuff probably with crypto. But it's not that I'm bullshitting. I'm telling the truth, and you can buy it cheaper just like I'm going to. And I'm telling you, just follow the plan. And I'm not a financial advisor. And this is for entertainment purposes only. But I do have a pretty strong history, a really strong history, a fantastic, magnificently stellar history. And all you have to do is go back and watch the videos. But I'm not the easiest person to listen to because I speak the truth. And I might not say what you want to hear because I don't even want to hear what I have to say half the time. And I'm like, God damn it, it's going to take even longer than I want. But that's okay. At least I know. Now, on the other hand, gold, silver, mining stocks, it's happening for us. Do you see what's happening, my audience? It's happening. Understanding market cycles. We not only ran crypto through January. We made a very bold stance in January. Let's see. We made a very bold stance, and a lot of my audience got really, really mad. But that's okay. But now a lot of my audience is really, really happy because we did this. Where the hell is this at? Can't they just show XRP future millionaire instead of all these schlubs? Here, I'll just search my own stuff then. How about that? It's still going to show everybody else's. I forgot. How they could even insult me by making me go through all this. I told you, it's not just you guys who have to go through all this crap. Well, it's probably because I spelt it all wrong there. But anyhow, we made a nice little move over. There, 8 months ago, I sold 75% of my crypto and turned focus to gold and silver. That was back in January. And I was very bold about it, and I said, and I took a lot of heat. And now crypto's down some 50, 60, 70% from there. And that point in January when I gave that advice, Mining stocks were at an all-time, they were at the yearly low with gold and silver. They were at the yearly low. And we've gone up in silver almost 50% from that point, and gold almost 40% from that time when I said that. And me flipping to gold and silver, as my audience knows, I wasn't buying physical at that point. I had already been doing that for several years with the audience. And my focus was going deeper into the miners and re-buying the miners once again, because I had sold out while they were making their drops after nice profits. But now we see gold today's up $29, about $30 to $3,778. The futures is somewhere in the 3,800 still for December, so that's a good sign. This is an example I used in the open, how in the higher time frames this can sit and overbought for a long time. And notice how it just flipped back to the bullish, and this is the third week. And look at that positive volume flow here now, and the moving average convergence, divergence. That's what you want to see. That's what you want to see. Stochastic is way overbought in the monthly and the daily, but look at that volume. Look at that. Look at that flow with the MACD. Volume's not even easy to see because it's gold. It just kind of stays the same, but it's always the same. But this is what you want to see. I still think 4,114 is probably where it goes to. And then once we hit there, it's probably going to back test this uptrend. So I don't know where it's going to hit. If it comes volatilely, maybe it comes back here into October. But I think that could be a point, but I don't know. With the further rate cuts that are coming by the end of the year, it's the perfect catalyst. Because they already said they want to lower it by just over 3/4 of a basis point by the end. That's extremely bullish for gold. It continues to devalue the dollar. Now, like going through some of these miners, some of you, your hats are going to fall to the floor. Because I know you've been watching this with me as I talk about this every single day. But the prices aren't the same, are they? Barrick Gold down 1% today to 33.93. We started buying it together. And just for an example, back in January, like, the prices are not where they're at now. Remember in January? Look, I called it on the V bottom. I don't make many claims, but 15 bucks we were buying it. Then we got another shot when it came here at 16 and 17 we bought more. And then we bought more here at 17. Remember the last $2,000 buy at 22? Because I said this is unbelievable that it would drop back down again and again and again. We haven't bought it since then, but that drop, or 21 or whatever it was. I think it was, where was it at? Right here. It was definitely up here because it went to, there was a drop when it had a big drop. No, it might have been over here. But it came back to 22 from somewhere. Oh, from 26 to 22. This is probably the candle in that week. Probably. But that was the last time. And now all of a sudden we're sitting here. And from, hey, I'm out of 75% of my crypto, and you know why 25% was still there, my XRP that I held. That I didn't sell those, well, 12,000 if I'm being... So, but I had sold a ton of them because we bought 5,000 additional XRP when it dropped to 38 cents. But there was a reason I did this. I don't claim to be a rocket scientist. I can just... But now we might get a pullback to 30. We don't know. But the point is it's over almost at $34 right now. B2 Gold was down at about $2.32 when we talked about this in January. And I said, I can't wait to talk about this around $5. Yeah, in January it was at $2.40, $2.30. And now it's obviously up at almost $5. So it's just understanding that one cycle was topping and one cycle was just getting going. And like, I didn't beg the audience. Well, I kind of begged. I said, do I need to get on my hands and knees and beg you? Remember I said, we're going to 50. Guys, we're almost there now. A lot of people thought I was nuts. But that's the truth. This cup and handle spoke 55. The ultimate target on this says 93. And then if we break out of that, I don't even want to tell you the target. So we're just going to stay with this picture. But gold or silver has been on a cup for... that it took, the cup legitimately took from 1979 until 2011. The cup, we'll just say 1980, took 31 years to form. The handle, the most beautiful, awe-inspiring, perfectly formed handle that I've ever seen in my life after a 31-year consolidation on the cup. The handle goes from 2012 until 2025. So after a 40-year or 31-year cup, we then had to wait another 13 years for the handle breakout. And Lord Jesus, have mercy, we were smart enough to see this as a community as I begged at 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 26 in the Silver Stacker videos. And then I said, that's it. I'm done. I won't buy any more over 26. But then when it went under 20, I was way back on. I bought so much because I was waiting for this moment. I don't want to buy precious metals on the rally anymore. I want to buy mining stocks before these miners appreciated. So I took this and said, okay, well, silver's obviously going to have a bigger run than gold. And I couple that with the fact that the gold-silver ratio still is at 82.7. But at that time in January, remember, we circled it. Even in back here, when this is when we first. It's so crazy to look back when we first started this journey. And then we said if it breaks down, and it will eventually, this is where we're expecting a 42 to 1. 42 to 1. If it goes to 42 to 1, we were buying silver as a community. I was buying it up here before we ever started. We had chances as a community at 100 to 1. It's preferably back here when it got to, I don't think it ever got to 111. It came up almost to that target. But then it ran out of steam because silver ended up going volatilely up. So we're talking about our community was buying it even at 106.8 to 1. What that means, and if you watch Silver Stacking video, if you bought it for 106 ounces and right now it's at 81, you can take 81, and I always say take an extra couple more for the differential and spot, and they need to make their premiums. So take 85. Give them 85 ounces of silver. They're going to give you a 1 ounce bar of gold right now. It's going to be less than 85, but just as an example. You can go to a pawn shop and do this today. You bring in 85 ounces of silver, and I guarantee they're not going to argue with you. You got to go to find the differential of their overage, see what they say. It's probably going to be 82 or 83 bars, but I like to high point it. So let's say it costs you 85. What that means, if you bought it at 106 to 1, you would still have easily 20 bars of silver and an ounce of gold, which means you got 23 ounces of silver. This is how stackers do it, but you have to do it right. It's no different than the XRP Bitcoin pairing. This is what I do. I've never actually flipped it because I was never smart enough until the last 10 years or so to do this. And now you have to wait patiently as you buy a bunch of silver, still have a bunch of gold. But my goal is to get more gold because silver's heavy. And it's easier to hide gold, let's face it. So yeah. See, Crypto Cooter knows. It was an unbelievable, and I always tell people, don't just judge me on crypto, judge me on how I tell us to do other things. And that pivot was better, I think, that pivot from crypto and selling all of our profits out from the bear market that we bought them is a better pivot, I think, than, no, I don't know, it might be equal because it got us started in 21 after we sold the bull market top in XRP and our cryptos and waited until 23 to rebuy. We did some buying and selling for swing trading because we were bored. But this pivot, though, from crypto in January, which you have the evidence, you can go watch the video and listen to how people talk to me for about a 2-month stretch. It was quite annoying, acting like I'm the biggest piece of shit the earth has ever seen. But here I am trying to make this community a shitload of profitability for free, I might add you, because I lose interest by my audience as I try to flip. Well, it's not free. I take that back. I make about $2,100 on average a month on YouTube between members of Tom's Army, not counting what I have to pay in taxes after, but that's just revenue. And as you see in the lives, I didn't even put the ads on. I didn't make you watch the ads. If you watch the live after, you're watching the ads. Because I need them to push my content. But if you watch it during this, you're not pushing the ads. So anyhow, I'm looking for that drop down to 42 to 6. So don't sell it now. Imagine if it goes to 42.6 Crypto Cooter and you bought it at 102 to 1. That means you can theoretically take, and let's just say 50 ounces. and trade it for an ounce of gold, you got an ounce of gold and you've also got over 50 ounces of silver for free. People think I'm lying, but that's the truth. I'm telling you. He could probably, at that point, get 2 ounces of gold for that purchase of silver and still have a couple ounces of silver left over. It's incredible. But like I say, I don't judge people too harshly because they don't know. So I've asked the Lord to show me guidance to not be so harsh on people and just try to show them through evidence and teach them through happenings and be here every day so we can watch it evolve in real time. So that's that with gold, silver, the gold-silver ratio, B2 gold, Barrett gold, but I will not ignore this sector just to build a bigger audience. We're going to give our due diligence, and then we're going back to XRP because I still have a lot to talk about. We've only been here for 30 minutes, but I have a lot to talk about still. Pan America Silver up 2.85%. I remember when they had their acquisition. It seems so crazy now. And I know but back in March, it was, no, right here. Back in May, the other one was First Majestic. We'll get to their acquisition. They had an acquisition here where it fell down to $20.50. I'll never forget because we were buying Pan America at 18. I didn't buy it down here. I wasn't ready yet because I was getting into other sectors in silver. But this was on my list after I had Fortuna Silver Mines and First Majestic figured out this was the next in line. And you'll see eventually how I kept going down the list. But it came to 2050 and I'm like, this is ridiculous. Pan America Silver, their books are phenomenal. And the only reason why all these people sold out, because it had a rather large drop in about a month. Actually, it was about a day. You'll see it back in the chart when it actually happened, but just for time purposes. It had a 30% drop when they had that acquisition. And what ends up happening is people see the acquisition and they start to see that, the money's not there. Well, the money was there. It's just that, they bought a company, so they didn't have as much money on hand. So once that worked itself out, now it's gone parabolic, obviously. January, this was back at 1875, and now we're up to 36, 37. So it's like, yeah, we've hit a resistance point. So now if you're buying right now, my advice to you would be you better make damn sure it breaks out and then it does a back test. What I would suggest is not, like I said, I haven't been buying the miners now for a while, unless it was on my list when they were lower. But I haven't bought a mining stock in a little while now since we did the Silver Court mining. But 36.23, you want to break over and see if you can hold that back test. Otherwise, I don't think it's going to come all the way back down to 15. I'd be stunned just because of the environment. But I mean, technically, if it did fail here, but eventually it's going to break out of this pattern. It's been stuck in it, believe it or not, since 2007 roughly. So it's getting close. It's getting close to its big breakout. It's not going to take the 2045. I've said before with this pattern, what you really want to do is you want to cut it up like this, only because, and it still brings you to the same time, but I just try to keep the overall hits here. But you can cut this up big time, this pattern. There's no doubt about it. But anyhow, it's been in it for a long time, and we'll continue watching it. First Majestic up 6.6% today. It's remarkable. Up to $12.44. It seems like yesterday that this was at $5.45 and Fortuna was at $5.25 after the big drops. First Majestic had an acquisition here that perfectly back tested the. It was unbelievable actually. They had an acquisition here. Wait a minute. We're way up. This was when we were first breaking out. We had an acquisition here back in... Wow, this was last year. No, it was back here. It's like February, March area. And it came down into the $4 to $5 range. But we've been talking about this for years, this company. But it had an acquisition. It came down near $5 early in the year. March, April. Somewhere around there. I think it was this candle, actually. That would make sense. April. They had a nice acquisition. A lot of people sold out. It came from like almost $7, $8 back down. But now all of a sudden you can see it's broken out in a very big way. Still got a little more room to come up to the top here at 14. But now all of a sudden we're sitting here above $12. It's been a remarkable run. A lot of my audience was buying it at $5.25 or $5.40 when it had that big drop. And it's just been too cheap for too long. And I used to say I can't wait for it to get to 921 and then ultimately break 10, so everybody can see just the potential. Now it's at 1240. And the beauty of it is First Majestic pays a small dividend, so does Pan American Silver, B2 Gold. Dividend while we were waiting for it to break out as we were accumulating was paying almost 6 to 7%, which was incredible. They're paying us 7% to buy a can't miss gold and silver mining company that's magnificent. And now that's almost up to $5. The dividend's back down under 3%, which is normal now. Then we have our Fortuna silver mines. It was, like I was saying, it was down at 525 when First Majestic was at 545. Not too long ago, right before these big breakouts. Probably this candle right here. Oh no, August and only got back down to 619. So it would have been back here with that drop. Yeah, May, see? That May area was fantastic. We had that one last 525 right there. That's it. That was that one last magnificent drop out of nowhere. It might have even come a little lower, 525, but yeah. And that's where I bought a ton more. I had at the time 575 shares. And I think I had 1,000 shares, 1,000. And when it made that drop, I upped it to over, I believe Fortuna's over 1,500 shares now. When it made that drop. And it was back testing a huge, pattern consolidation that it's been in for several years since 2020. So, and you can take that farther back too and extend that out. But now we're waiting for it to hit this resistance over the top. That'll be around $10. And one of these times we're going to get these magnificent earnings. And what happens is something like what happened with Hecla. Hecla is over $11.88, up 3.04%. It's the single largest silver producer in the USA. And Hecla was the one that always got me. It had a weird drop back down to 455, and man, I'm like, are you what the hell is... So, I didn't have my investments in Hecla, so I went balls deep into Hecla, and I bought like 1,500 shares or something like that, because it's one of my single largest holdings now, which is insane. Let's see. But it's gone absolutely insane. And there's corrections that happen, but the problem is when the market meets demand, they end up consolidating for a sideways consolidation, maybe a little bit down by 5 to 10%. And then all of a sudden, they just end up going back up because of the catalyst that comes in the news. So this is the sector that was definitely worth watching 9 months ago, leading into about 3 months ago. Now, I still think it's going to go up, but you're asking me if you should buy something when I was asking the audience to buy things 150% ago. It's a big difference. It's actually quite alarming what's happened in that sector. I'm up 2.22%. I'm up $2,225 a day, 222 and 2.22% on the day. To put it in perspective. Yeah, Hecla Mining I have, so I can go over the shares so you guys don't think I'm just BSing, because I put a lot of money where my mouth is. At B2 Gold, I have 3,413 shares. Hecla Mining, I'm at 1,372 shares. And Barrick Gold is at 474 shares. And like, since I put these in these accounts, it's just been building up. And I started doing this, I believe it was January of this year. So, all of these are from January of this year is when I started building into this side of the portfolio, because I sold out of the crypto and I said I'm going deep in the miners. And I'm glad I did. First Majestic, 1,223 shares. Fortuna Silver Mines, 1,567 shares. Pan America Silver, 302 shares. Silver Corp Mining, 1,000 shares. And Dolly Varden Silver, 1,003. And the lower ones, the last two were the ones, and I'll go over them. And yeah, Hecla's just doing phenomenal. So, single largest silver producer, and it's been stuck in this consolidation, and it's still in it. Oh, since 1970s. So you think it might have been waiting for silver to make its breakouts that it's been stuck in since the same time period? I think so. Silver Corp Mining, my audience asked, especially Mrs. Stott, asked if you weren't in any miners yet, is there any in particular that you think was a good buy that hasn't been bought up. And I said, what I'm working on right now, because I'm down to that part of the list, is silver core mining. Or metals, I should say. And it was down at, where was this? $4. Mrs. Stott asked me, I believe it was in July. Mrs. Stott asked me. It was because I bought it, I started buying it at $3.75, and then I bought more when Mrs. Stott asked me, because I had 500 shares, and I said, I'm going to buy 500 more, and it was at like $4.25, because I want to say it was in August. Right around here, $4.25. End of July, early August. And I said, this is the one that I'm going to go with. Because this was on my list, and I haven't got what I wanted out of it yet. Man, 40 people left during the precious metals talk. That's okay. Just makes me understand just how much people miss out, and that's okay. That's not their fault. They know no better. And Mrs. Stott asked, and I was like, I'm not a financial advisor, but this is the one that I bought 500 more there at that 425, 450 area. And now we're up to over $6, and I know Mrs. Stott is feeling pretty good about that now. There's going to be consolidations and stuff. And then last but not least, Dolly Varden. Once we got through the list, this was the last one I wanted to buy. It's the most speculative one that I own, because it's just about to start turning a profit. And it was at $3.75 or $3.25. I think it was $3.25 when I first started talking about it. But it hasn't been that long, so it's not like there's been a whole lot of discussion. It's only been for like 3 months. I brought it up in July when it first passed $2. Because remember, it had the big push up in June. And then when it came back down into the $3 range, we talked about it more and more. And then I bought some. And then I bought more. I finished buying after I bought the Silver Corp. I bought more of these. Because I don't think my brother ever did buy them. But I ended up buying more at like $3.75 or something. Because I bought, the initial ones were lower, but I bought the majority around $4 roughly. So this one's the least of my movers. But it was the last one that I purchased. And I haven't done anything since. So, and I had a very defined plan. So that goes over all of these. Silver Corp Mining, the good news about this is they are buying back. Buying back because they said the stock price is too low. They're buying back. How much was it? Man, we got to look at it. Hold on, let me type this in. How many common shares is Silver Corp Metals buying back? Whoops. No, not Court. Oh, Lord, forgive AI.
Silvercorp Metals has announced a renewal of its normal course issuer bid, NCIB, allowing the company to repurchase up to 8,747,245 common shares.
And this goes all the way until 2026.
As an AI,
shut up, no one's
provide
asking
financial
me.
advice or...
So I think the price is going to surge. So if you want to hear more information, more details, where you can be more personable, join Tom's Army, get into the exclusive Telegram. You know, I feel more comfortable talking there as well. You can private message me, and then I'll add you to my contact list. But remember, I won't reach out to you. So if somebody spams you and tries to reach out, it's not me. You reach out to me and I'll add you like I do to others. And then we can have a dialogue. So, you know, but let me say hi to some of you. I want to say hi, acknowledge some of you. I think there were some donations and some sign-ups for Tom's Army. Mr. Sampson for 51 months now with the XRP. Let's see, 24. Wait a minute. That's a long one. That's the 51-month badge. That's the XRP Phoenix. Thank you so much, Mr. Sampson. He's very right about XLM a lot, and he said 22 cents incoming. I'd probably pay attention to him that it might end up in that range at some point. Joseph Euler, Jacoby, Papa Wheelie, Tango, and the Cannabis Podcast, along with Crypto Cooter. Thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. And Crypto Cooter, thanks for being a very trusted mod. in here and in the Telegram. It's a beautiful thing. So if you want to talk more to some of our beautiful folks, be in the Telegram. Join Tom's Army, get the exclusive Telegram. Show that support. We have to do that so the spammers are less. I think we have 475 members in the Telegram. Rashid, welcome in. Shadowheads, good morning. Miss G. Stott was just talking about you. Welcome in, Mrs. Stott. And thanks for being in Tom's Army for your second month with the Dusty Dados Crypto News. Mosey here, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So badge. I be killing it, good morning. McMichael, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. Bearded Viking, welcome in. I hope your son, or your child, I should say, is doing as well as is blessed and is having as good of a day as possible under the tough conditions. I don't want to speak any more of it. That's your own personal stuff. But thank you, Bearded Viking, for being in Tom's Army for 3+ months with the XP Meteor. Help in some small way we can bring comfort. Arelli, welcome in. Florida Attorney Don Jackson. Game Day Guru, welcome in. I love seeing all of you in here. Yes, big money could care less about retail. Florida Attorney, I agree. Silver getting close for me to take some profit. I went in a little heavy last bear market. Oh, no. It's not even close to taking profit. In my opinion, you don't take profit on silver. Not yet. The only profit you should be taking on silver is when you flip it into gold bars for free, when the ratio is in your favor, even more. Game Day Guru says, let's go, Tom. I just come here and I try to be a sponge and learn as much as I can. I definitely feel like this is the right place to have your ears open and just listen. Exactly. Could not agree more. And I love when so many of you are giving advice in here too, because it allows us to expand on it. I've learned so much from all of you as well. It doesn't just go from me to you, it goes from you to me as well. So I thank you all for that. Ronald Grump, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. One of only like 3 or 4 new members of the month of September. So if you're watching and you want to be a part of this, I encourage you, join Tom's Army. It's a cool thing. I don't talk about it as much as I should, but it's a special thing. Joseph Euler, thank you for the $20 donation. That's incredible. And also in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XP Predictor. Says, thanks for all your hard work, Tom. What do you think about HFT? I have no idea what HFT is, if I'm being honest. Never heard of it. I'm assuming you're talking about a crypto, but I have no idea what it is. From what I can see, it looks like hell. And I wouldn't touch it with a 30-foot pole. Because it's going to go... If this is a longer chart, this looks like it's going to Discovery in the wrong fucking way. I would probably wait to see what it does. I have no clue what it is, but that to me just... That looks overbought, and look how much negative attention there is on the downslope. I'd probably run for the hills. I would run for the hills. Looking at that. Without knowing nothing about it. I mean, the daily's oversold, but the weekly's telling you we're coming down at some point. Unless there's some positive catalyst. Like I said, unless some positive catalyst turn that around. But I don't even know what it is. That looks like hell. That chart. See the European chart. Oh, they all look horrible. The daily, though, gives it some room to maybe do something. But it's a bearish engulfing. So even though it's showing like in the RSI, it's showing like in the stochastic, it's oversold. It's overbought with a rising wedge. It looks like in the stochastic and the weekly. That's not a good sign. The monthly, oh my god, that's a horrible sign. Especially because it looks like something that I wouldn't buy with my worst enemy's money. It's probably not going to get the catalyst like gold and silver getting some positivity. I would run. If you get lucky, you get lucky, but over time, I would run from those kind of opportunities. When they look like that. I can revisit it after another drop if the crypto market has it, but I would run for the hills. Ronald Grump says, Christ is king, invite him into your heart, and he will replace stone with flesh. Amen to that, and more than one person has spoken in the name of our Lord and Savior, Yahweh, Yahshua, God himself in this very group, including myself. So God became present amongst us, our higher power, no matter who you believe. Some might be on the other sides of the world, believing not necessarily God as the Almighty. Some believe differently. You know? But the point is they believe in the same higher power. They just believe it's in a slightly different fashion, but they believe there's still a higher power nonetheless. So, some believe in Allah, some believe in Buddha. Who are we to judge? The bottom line is we're all seeking out that higher power, and we believe there's something greater than ourselves. So don't judge amongst because you don't understand. We're in different parts of the world, after all. I reach like 68 or 78 different countries, so lots of different religions going on in here. I'm sure we have a lot of, well, we've already spoken of that side. But let's see. Vado Damas, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year with the I Told You So Bad. Odele, my good old friend here. I love seeing you in here. Don Jackson, welcome in, and thanks for being, thanks for the $4.99 donation. Wow, and thanks for being in here for a very long time. That's an extremely generous super chat. Hard-earned money, after all. It's the biggest motivational thing I can get besides everybody who sends me messages about how their circumstance has changed over the years in the positive. Thank you so much, Mr. Jackson. I appreciate that. Who else did I miss? Ronald Grum says silver's been closing up $1 each day this week. I know, it's pretty remarkable. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to get to 46. But, I mean, it's definitely trending up. It's up to 45.70. I mean, it's just remarkable watching this day after day. It's like every time I think there's going to be some kind of correction, it does the correction, and then the next day it's back off to the races. Just like the miners, they're doing the exact same thing. It's beautiful. Dan Marginal, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XP Meteor. Happy Friday to you. It's a beautiful morning indeed. Mr. Stott's in here. Mr. and Mrs. G. Stott are in the house. Mrs. Stott and Mr. Stott, thank you so much for being here. Both in Tom's Army for your 2nd month with the Dusty's Autos Crypto News. Thank you, Mr. Stott. I appreciate it. Oh, I'm glad that you appreciate the insight. It says, I'm waiting for the big dump to toss in more chips. Well, I believe we're in the process of that dump as we speak. Now, remember, XRP's been on the process coming down from 370, so it's down $1. You know, a lot of things are down 1/3 now from when we started talking about this. Minimum 1/3. Some are farther. So, it's Dave, just Dave. Oh, and I called you David, listen to me. Yeah, silver has not been this high since 2008. If it goes any higher, it's going to get to a point where I've never seen it in my lifetime. When my target was 4,800, my time frame was end of 26. I was happily wrong. Well, not technically yet. It hasn't hit 4,800 yet, unless you meant 3,800. Don Jackson says, I was there and Tom told us to pivot at the perfect time. Yeah, it turns out hindsight's 20/20, and at least our hindsight was on point. But it doesn't take away from the fact that I was beaten up by my audience. I was called the biggest scumbag and blah, blah, blah. But we're getting close to the shift again, guys. That's what I'm trying to say. That doesn't mean miners are going to go away and go, but I'm saying at some point we're going to get back to the shift to crypto. That's what we're working on right now. That's what the last 8 months were. This is the disbelief stage of a rally. You can't believe that it's not going to go up every single week. Once you get to, I'm done, I'm over it, I'm disallowing another purchase, which some people are. I'm done with this game for good. I've heard that a lot, too, over the past few weeks. That's when we start to, but I think it's going to take another, I don't want to say this, but I think it's going to take like another 30 to 50%. And then people are really going to be fucking pissed. Just think about it. If Ethereum does come down, and we've been talking about since 5K, roughly, 4,934. 3,500 is the back test that I think it's got to hit. And that's the first step. And we hope it stays out there. Monthly isn't overbought. Weekly was way, like almost predictably overbought. And this isn't a case where there's any kind of catalyst to keep us going right now. Now, if we got a 75 basis point rate cut tomorrow, and they came out, the Fed said we're easing and printing. We need to print. We need to inject capital. We're cutting basis points, 75 basis points. We're going to print all this money. Oh, this would pump out the gazoolie. And why they drop it like this right before it pumps out the gazoolie is because the government needs to buy in cheap so that when they pump the market, they've already used our tax money and our printed money from before to buy into a beaten down market. And then the next time they do it, they're already prime position. You ever see when they print USDT? Wait till you see it again. Wait till the amount they start printing next time. And then they got the gazoolie. They got us by the balls because most of retail's down 95% while they're getting the bear market low because they're the buyer and seller of last resort. All we have to do is understand the game and we're fine. We understand the game. Most people don't think we understand the game because most people charge when they think they understand the game. That just means they don't understand the game. You know how many portfolios I've seen of fellow influencers that are big portfolios, and I know damn well it's only because they're stealing from their audience, and they know it. The audience doesn't know it because they just see the portfolio getting bigger. What they don't realize is they're getting paid to tell you the bullshit, and they get paid more and more. And isn't it ironic as more and more of their tokens fail, their bankroll gets bigger? You ever think about that? Why are they pushing these meme tokens that have gone down 90%, but the next time they show me, they've got so much more money? How is it possible this guy's up 8,000% and all the tokens he's talking about are down 99.9%? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because they're paying him to talk about these pieces of shit. That's why. Yeah, Julie. So I basically covered what I want. Julie's waiting for me. I'm XRP Future Millionaire. Watch XRP. What we need to do here, and I hope this was a nice lesson today because I've been teaching them all week and I'll be here tomorrow. I've been teaching them since March 24th of 2021. To the ridicule of some, to the unfair statements of others, to the kindness and consideration and love of others that you could only wish to have from your most precious of souls. I get all of it. But the precious souls outweigh. So we have more love than hate, and that love is outweighing the hate in this community. That's why on a red day we have 103 people, despite all the nonsense I've talked about today, which is good nonsense. But nonetheless, we're going to get to a point where I think we're going to be good. But we got rejected at 289, which brings out a target of 224 if we don't reverse this. So the target's $2.24. One of two ways to reverse it is one, get over $2.91, I believe it's going to be, or 90 in recent and current time. 292. That's one way to try to invalidate. A second way is to not fall through 267 and take a push back up to, oh, wait a minute, what was that? What was that area? 291, 292, so to get back above there. And let's look at it again. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, wait a minute, that area again. There it is. And then let's look at a third one. Oh. Oh, shit, we're back in that box. Nobody wants to see that. And then just to not lose 261, even below that. 261's your fail safe. Once it gets below 261, nah, 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 nah. Nah, 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 nah. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye. Na 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 na. Hey, hey, hey. It's over. Not forever, but then that could bring a target if we lose $2.28 all the way down to $1.77. Ba da da da. How many would disappear? They would never, but they wouldn't reappear though. They would disappear but never reappear is the point. And all they would have done the whole way down would be exit liquidity. Exit liquidity. I don't want to be exit liquidity, nor should any of you. IOTA, what's the long and short of this view? Well, the long is fucking phenomenal. The short, I don't know yet. Because we're oversold so badly that we needed to have a short reversal like we talked about yesterday. But I don't know. Could we come all the way back up to 20.6 cents? It is possible. I would like to see this exhaustion wick continue and fill this out back near 14.7. But the short view is if we fall out of this, we have a problem. But I'm not looking for a complete fallout. I was looking for some kind of consideration here in the weekly or the daily. The back test where it hit that fallout on the wick. I was looking for some kind of confluency to retap it and prove that this inverse right shoulder is in fact an inverse right shoulder. We've had support. So it did come down here. So it might not come all the way back down. The weekly broke through the mediocre point Daily's way oversold. 4 hourly's pushing back up, but we'll see what happens. It was oversold, so now first objective would be to get over 1670. Then you got to go into the 2 hourly and find the 200 day, which is all the way up there at 18. And then if you go into the 30-minute, try to see some kind of short term. So 1680, get over 1690 is the first area. But look how quickly the 30-minute gets back into that overbought scenario. So I'm looking for 1487 if this doesn't pan out. But I don't know, because we did get massively oversold. So we're going to have some kind of confluency. And what I always say for some reason, on Fridays, they always give the allure of a positive market right before paychecks come out. I've said it for how many weeks in a row now. Even if it's red to start, somehow, some way it'll flip green as paychecks are starting to come out. And then by the time people are paid into Saturday, they've employed their capital, and all of a sudden the market takes a dump. Are we going into the same magenta? We might be. And magenta is just manipulation with agenda. And I call it magenta now, because I don't want to say manipulation. Will the magenta continue? It might. That's the manipulated agenda. To trick retail into thinking they matter for anything other than exit liquidity. I digress, though. I'm going to leave before all my audience leaves. Be blessed, everybody. Have a good day. But that's all I got. That's all I got. I can't say nothing else. I don't want to get in trouble. And escrow dump is coming next week. I didn't say escrow dump coming next week. That's actually Craig Carlson. Email him at craigcarlson@gmail.com for any hate mail. I kid you not. That's a joke. He probably doesn't even use Craig Carlson. Although I said it one time about somebody, and it was actually their exact email address they used to the number on accident. And it's still a miracle. And they messaged me and they talked to us on the live and said, hey, I had to change my email because you accidentally set it to the T. And I was like, uh-oh. So again, craigcarlson@gmail.com for any hate mail. So the magenda, exactly. And the escrow dump is Craig Carlson's fault, not XRP Future Millionaire, FYI. We love Craig Carlson.